Hello and welcome back to ERU, where we aim to bring you closer to the biggest games across European football. Today, we are reviewing one of the most mental games I've seen so far this season, an ongoing transfer saga, a star of the week and an unsung hero from across the continent. It's going to be one hell of a show again, guys. Let's get into it. So I was planning on covering Juventus versus Napoli, which was supposed to take place just about now over in Turin, but of course that game seemed like it was either going to be delayed or cancelled. I'm not quite sure as I film it right now because two Napoli players have tested positive for coronavirus. So instead, I wanted to cover Bayern Munich versus Hertha Berlin, and what a decision it turned out to be. It was obviously a massive game for Bayern as they looked to get back to winning ways following the end of their 32-match unbeaten run against Hoffenheim last weekend. They were run ragged by Hoffenheim defensively, Kramaric run amok, and they conceded 4 goals as well. So they were looking to bounce back to winning ways this weekend in the league, having won the German Super Cup 3-2 against Dortmund in midweek. Their opponents Hertha had, by all accounts, had an excellent summer. They brought in John Cordoba, Alexander Schwolo, and that complemented some really exciting additions from last year as well. Lucas Toussaint, Piontek, Cunha, Santiago Escacaba, and it felt like something was really building for Hertha Berlin prior to this game. They'd beaten Werder Bremen in their first game. They'd had a setback against Eintracht Frankfurt. They were hoping to cause a few more issues to Bayern, who had, as I said, looked a little bit shaky against Hoffenheim. History was very much against Hertha though. They'd only beaten Bayern twice in 24 previous meetings in all competitions, losing 18 of them. Hansi Flick, well, he just goes from strength to strength. Yes, they had that setback against Hoffenheim, but they'd only failed to win 4 games under his management. That's as many as the trophies that they've won in his 11 months in charge. How mental is that? So from the very start of the game, the big talking point was the fact Chris Richards, a US international, was starting at right back. He can also play as centre back as well. And Alphonso Davies was playing as a left winger. And Bayern didn't actually start particularly well. Yes, Boyata had to make an excellent block from Lewandowski. Schwolo made an unreal save from Lewandowski, but Bayern didn't look quite at their fluid best for the early part of this game. And it nearly cost Bayern as well. After 15 minutes, they had a massive scare when John Cordoba was put through on goal, smashed the ball into the back of the net, but it was given offside. Then Bayern had a goal disallowed for offside as well from Müller. Very marginal call, but was correct from a Richards cross. But on the 39th minute mark, they finally took the lead. Richards crosses the ball to Lewandowski. Schwolo puts out an excellent save, but pushes it back to Serge Gnabry, crosses the ball back in. Lewandowski has a tap in, 1-0 to Bayern at the break, and XG had it at 0.9 to 0.3. Not a particularly exciting first half of football, but guys, that was all set to change. So it's almost easier if I go through this pretty much minute by minute. There was so much activity. 51 minutes. Gnabry and Richards linked up really nicely on the right hand side. Richards cuts it back to Lewandowski. He turns to the edge of the box, finishes them to the bottom left. 2-0 to Bayern. But no. Hertha Berlin were coming back into this. Cunha crossed for Cordoba, who was a nuisance all afternoon, playing right on the edge of that offside line, that high line from Bayern. He was nearly through so many times. Anyway, he got his goal from Cunha's cross here from a free kick. 2-1 to Bayern. Now from then, Bayern looked quite comfortable, but on the 70th minute mark, Cunha went on a mazy dribble. He has really shone since joining from RB Leipzig in January. Went on a mazy dribble, ran almost through Boateng, played a 1-2 with Cordoba around Alaba and finished into the bottom right-hand corner. It was what they call a golazzo. 2-2, game on, 20 minutes to go. How is this one going to end? Now we get into the mid-80s. I think it's around the 85th minute. Tolisso just missed a sitter at the back stick from a corner. But then Piontek, who was on as a substitute, who would be running around like a bloody bull in a china shop. He was completely head-gone moment. He was giving away free kicks left, right, centre. He was pumped up. Too pumped up though. He gave away a free kick. They crossed it in. Lewandowski tapped it in. 85 minutes gone. 3-2 to Bayern. Surely that's it done. Lewandowski with a hat-trick as well. And at this stage, he'd also gone through the mark of 100 goals at home at the Allianz Arena in the Bundesliga alone. Isn't that just ridiculous? Think of the quality of players that haven't reached 100 Premier League goals. Lewandowski has done that at home. Mental. But we weren't done in this game just yet. 87th minute, left-back Mittelstadt, who'd had an excellent game at left-back, really dangerous deliveries, crossed it in, and Ngangkam, sorry I haven't pronounced that very well, Hertha Berlin striker Ngangkam, came on, scored with his first touch about a minute later. I'd never heard of him, as you can clearly tell, and it looked like Bayern were going to drop points for the second game in a row. But just 4 minutes later, with 2 minutes left of stoppage time, Mittelstadt, who had just crossed in that ball, brought down Lewandowski in the box. Penalty given to Bayern. Lewandowski tucks it away. That's 4 goals for him. The game finishes 4-3 to Bayern. Now, as you can tell, it was pretty difficult to make sense and even summarise what went down in that game. Absolutely mental end-to-end stuff. I thought Hertha Berlin were really good value in this game. I thought they were unlucky to lose. They caused Bayern a whole heap of problems, particularly down that right-hand side. I thought Richards and Boateng in particular were a bit of an issue defensively for Bayern. That high line was exposed numerous times. Boateng, excellent long-range passer as we saw towards the back end of last year. He's still got it, but does need added protection when you've got Kimmich and Goretzka in midfield. Kimmich, for someone who used to play right back, or is a right back playing in midfield, not particularly defensively minded. Loves to get forward, cross those dangerous balls in, but it does lead to issues at the back. So Hertha, very good value in this game. They were unfortunate to lose. In terms of key performers for them though, Schwolo deserves an enormous amount of credit for making 5 saves in the game. He might have conceded 4 goals, but it could have been way more without him as well. I thought, from Lewandowski, some of the efforts that he pulled out, particularly from a free kick, going into the top right, awesome save. But their best player was Matthias Cunha. What an error from RB Leipzig you've got to feel with Timo Werner leaving to let this guy go. He was awesome in this game. 3 dribbles, 1 key pass, 4 shots, 1 goal and 1 assist. What a performance from the young Brazilian, who's just actually had his first call-up to the Seleção squad. Bayern, as I said, all over the shop defensively, but some of their attacking players do deserve some credit. Müller created 7 chances, still not in the Germany squad for this week. He needs a much-needed rest, but you've got to feel that Jogi Löw's just being a little bit stubborn there. Surely Thomas Müller, on the basis of his last 12 months, deserves to be in the Germany squad. Anyway, let's move on from that because I want to talk about Lewandowski. What a performance from the guy. Bayern were pretty rubbish, to be honest, going forward and defensively. I thought they were a little bit off the pace, to be honest. Their passing wasn't as normally as crisp. They weren't as intense as normal. They looked a little bit tired, which is understandable given that they'd had that Super Cup win in midweek. But Lewandowski, sharp as ever. 3 aerial duels won, 1 dribble, 1 key pass, 13 shots. 13 with 7 on target. Just ridiculous. The 32-year-old now has 5 goals and 2 assists in the Bundesliga so far this season. A goal contribution every 30 minutes. And I tweeted out during the game, it's an absolute crime that there's no Ballon d'Or this year. UEFA Player of the Year, really it doesn't have the same standing. Lewandowski deserves every accolade going his way this year for an amazing 12 months. Lewandowski, you can go home a very proud man. You rescued an otherwise shoddy performance from your side. That win was absolutely essential for Bayern. They now go into this break in 4th, I believe, and they're just 1 point behind leaders RB Leipzig, who have looked excellent so far with Emil Forsberg and Dani Olmo running the show. Bayern, 13 goals scored in 3 games, once again, lightning going forward, but 7 goals conceded, something for Hansi Flick to mull over during the break. Their next game is against FC Düren in the Pokal, a 5th tier side. They then got Arminia in the league, and then they play host to Atletico Madrid in the Champions League. So their performances will have to improve a lot if they want to replicate their success from last year. But you do feel with a 2-week break, they'll come back a bit refreshed. But there have been a lot of interesting developments with Bayern Munich's transfer business, which is what we're going into in our next section. Before we go any further, just a quick reminder to subscribe to Euro Football Daily and hit that notification bell to never miss one of our ERUs. Now, before we start this next section, let's make absolutely clear who Bayern Munich have managed to sign. Obviously, we know about Leroy Sané, but they've also brought in Tanguy Nianzou and Alexander Nubel, the highly rated keeper from Schalke. And as of tonight, they've also signed Marc Roca from Espanyol. Defensive midfielder who'll provide cover and competition for Kimmich. Very solid on the ball, good defensive numbers. They wanted him last year, they've got their man this year. But otherwise, it's been pretty murky for them. As we know, they turned down the opportunity to sign Ivan Perisic. But the news broke last night from numerous outlets, and The Athletic were reporting that they made a bid to sign Callum Hudson-Odoi, Chelsea's Callum Hudson-Odoi, on loan, with an option to buy him for €70 million next summer. Now, Hansi Flick has spoken openly about Cho's qualities. He likes the fact he can play on the wing or centrally, and Lampard said he couldn't give a definitive answer about whether he would leave. But we've got the news just before we started filming that Cho is definitely not leaving West London. But we still want to analyse whether Chelsea have potentially made a mistake in not letting him go. Now, before we get into the main part of the analysis, it's important to note that Callum Hudson-Odoi nearly joined Bayern Munich in January 2019 before he signed that new contract, and he actually went as far as handing in a transfer request. But The Athletic claim there's none of that this year. He's actually very happy with this situation in West London, which is important to note. Chelsea's position is actually quite clear. In their eyes, they've only got 2 out-and-out wide players. They've got Pulisic and Ziyech, who have both had injury issues in the past. Ziyech obviously missed 8 games with injury last year. He's missed 4 games this campaign. And Pulisic has actually missed 22 since joining officially last summer, as in summer 2019. So they don't really want to loan out their third choice for that, for that crucial cover. And we've seen Havertz playing wide, not to that greater effect, needs to play centrally. Mount is better centrally, and Werner plays more like an inside forward than a natural wide man, so having Callum Hudson-Odoi would be a great rotation option to have for Chelsea. Now, Hudson-Odoi's potential is clear for all to see. 6 goal contributions in 22 Premier League games last year, only 7 of which were starts. But you just feel that he's going to be about 7th choice when everyone's fit in that Chelsea lineup. Ziyech, Pulisic, Havertz, Mount, Werner, Abraham, Giroud. There's a lot of forward options. I don't know what system Lampard's going to play yet. I don't think he does yet either. But you feel like Hudson-Odoi is not guaranteed the game time. So could Chelsea have used that 70 million euros next summer on a homegrown asset to reinvest in their squad or continue their growth towards a title challenge? I've kind of seesawed a bit on this initially. Initially, I thought there's no way they should sell Hudson-Odoi. Surely you'd want to get rid of likes of Emerson, Christensen, Alonso, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, even Kante before Callum Hudson-Odoi, given his age and potential. Then I thought 70 million euros, that's a great price. But then I realised, came to my final conclusion, no, there's no way they should get rid of him on a loan deal this year. They're loaning him out with an option to buy. There's no guarantee that Bayern would pay that 70 million euros next summer. Look what they did with Coutinho and Perisic. So why strengthen a European rival, even though they're, Chelsea, no one suggests they're going to be challenging for the Champions League. But Hudson-Odoi, given the minutes that Perisic got last year, probably would have played quite regularly. Why strengthen them for a season just to continue his development if you're not going to get that guaranteed kitty at the end of it? So my decision, my thoughts on this is Hudson-Odoi, right decision not to loan him with the idea to sell him next summer. Chelsea fans and general guys, anyone watching, do you guys agree on that? He's also shown he can be pretty effective in the last couple of games. He obviously came on against West Brom, grabbed a goal after a great link-up play with Havertz, and played pretty well against Crystal Palace yesterday. Completed 4 crosses from open play, the most on the pitch, 2 key passes, 2 shots, was sort of involved in the build-up to 2 goals as well. So it feels like Chelsea just going to use him for this year. They'll try and offload other players as the window, slams shut at 11 PM tonight. According to Fabrizio Romano, Bayern have now turned their attention to 28-year-old right-back Bouna Sarr from Marseille, who I've got to say I don't know a hell of a lot about. So guys, let me know what Bouna Sarr's like in the comments down below. And they've also signed Douglas Costa from Juventus, which you've got to feel is a bit of a backward step. I'd much rather have Hudson-Odoi than Douglas Costa, but this late in the window, it's not the worst piece of business. But guys, do you think Hudson-Odoi should have left Chelsea? And do you think Chelsea have made a mistake in not selling him? Let me know in the comments down below, and let's move on to Star of the Week. Our Star of the Week came in from @BSpursy, and I could have suggested Erling Haaland, who got 2 goals and an assist in Dortmund's 4-0 thrashing of Freiburg, laying on a very unselfish tap-in from Paslak in the final few minutes when through on goal for a hat-trick. I can't imagine many strikers who'd be prepared to do that. He's now got a ridiculous 21 goals in 23 games for Dortmund since joining from RB Salzburg in January. What a player, what a performer, but I think in this one he was outshone by his teammate. Yeah, I'm going to give it to Giovanni Reyna. The 17-year-old was absolutely exceptional yesterday. 4 tackles, 4 dribbles, 4 key passes, 1 shot, 3 assists on the day. Absolutely unbelievable display. His way to pass, his ability to dribble with the ball at speed. He already looks like, having been a very solid contributor to Dortmund last year, he looks like he could be one of the main men this year alongside Bellingham, Sancho, Haaland. What an exciting lineup they have. Couple that with the experience of Brandt, Hazard, Marco Reus, of course. Phenomenal stuff from Dortmund. 1 goal and 3 assists now for Reyna in 3 games. What a performer. Sunderland born and bred. I'm proud of you. For our unsung hero, @Tamesh Bahal suggested Papu Gomez, and to be honest, I agreed with him, but I thought I could have almost put in any of the Atalanta side after they thrashed Cagliari 5-2 at home. This result saw them go top of the table. I don't know whether Napoli and Juventus is going to go ahead yet, with 3 wins from 3, having scored 13 goals. What a start to the season from them, and from Papu Gomez, who was once again central. 1 dribble, 2 key passes, 1 shot, 1 goal. A glorious curling effort. And he now has 4 goals and 2 assists in 3 Serie A games so far this season. Look at his averages on his stats as well. 3.5 shots, 3.1 key passes, 1.6 dribbles. Just an absolute magician. Papu Gomez, I take my proverbial hat off to you. So guys, that was ERU for another week. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I hope you guys enjoyed our transfer breakdown as well. With that news coming hot off the press, we thought we had to dive into it. Let me know which game you want to see us cover next week in depth, and who you thought was another shout for Unsung Hero and Star of the Week. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it, leave a comment and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time. Bye!